Welcome one, welcome all. It is time for Sunday Night Football. I'm joined by Glock. We'll be lucky enough to be joined by Kurt here in just a couple minutes or so. He's restarting his computer. And we are sitting here watching the Eagles and Jalen Hurts absolutely collapse against the Jets. So this is an intriguing game. And Glock, I'll kick it to you. I know that you said you had Justin Fields and stuff, but other than that, how has your weekend been? You don't even have to talk about this Sunday if you don't want to, but how's the weekend been?
It's been good. When it's not related to DFS, had my baby shower for my wife. So yes, that was yesterday. Got a lot of family in town, so I've been hanging out with them. Actually, had to leave the family. This little party get together to get on the show and hop on with you guys. So looking forward to breaking the slate down. And yeah, when it comes to DFS, I had Justin Fields. Obviously, did not go well. I think before the injury, he wasn't looking too good. He got mega steamed. Like there was some sites projecting him to be under 10%. I think in my contest, or he was around 17, 20%. And then DJ Moore was projected to be like under 10% as well. Ended up like 20 something percent in my contest. So I was pretty surprised about that. But I mean, that's kind of like why you kind of have to stay in the know and, just be aware of like all this potential steam candidates and stuff like that. But yeah, my day was over pretty early, and then kind of, just hung out with the family, and now we're here trying to bounce back, basically.
So Glock, did you do a gender reveal?
Yes, gender reveal and baby shower.
What did you do for the gender reveal?
We had like these like little pop smoke cannons. So like my brother and my sister-in-law, basically they kept it a secret, and they ordered those cannons, and then on the day of, we had everyone over, and then, we had everyone just pop it, and then into the sky, it was like, blue color. So yeah,
so the good color, the Mavericks colors. I was surprised. I was hoping it would be basketball themed. Maybe having to drain a three.
Basically, it's blue, right? So yeah, it kind of is in a way.
I got minus 110 that the kid's name is Luca. So we'll get Kurt here joined very shortly, but I do want to break down the slate for y'all here. We have a very nice Buffalo Bills slate, and then you have to look at the other team, that is the Giants. My first sim through on Saber Sim was 5-1s galore. We had about 55% 5-1s, which was absolutely absurd. And it makes sense. I mean, I think the Giants do have enough cheap options to where this isn't going to be like, what was it, this morning with the Ravens and Titans, even though I think Derrick Henry got there. I'm not sure if anyone else did for the Titans. And then obviously the Broncos only had one player get there on Thursday. It's looking like another 5-1 slate. I mean, it's minus 15.5. The over-under is just 44. The Bills are implied a 30-team total. We get Dalton Kincaid out. So we have Dawson Knox stepping in at under 4K. He's 3.8K on this slate. There's so much to go on right here where, I don't know. I just get a bunch of salary. I have a lot of punts here as well. I do think that maybe we can look at 4-2s here, Glock. But as we wait for Kurt, I guess I'll go ahead and kick it to you. But for quarterback, Tyrod Taylor filling in for Danny Jones. Danny Jones being, obviously out with a neck injury. Tyrod steps in. He's 9.4K. Josh Allen, probably the most popular player on the slate. I would be shocked if he's anywhere under 95%. I just think that there's just no other spend-ups really out there in terms of on the Giants side because, we'll get to Saquon in a minute. But what are you doing with these quarterbacks today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Josh Allen stands out above the rest. I'm going to have a ton of him at captain. And you kind of nailed it on the head where you're going to see a lot of 5-1s, right? And I know RPS as a whole, there's a lot of guys that don't really like 5-1s. Obviously, if you've listened to me on these shows in these past couple of weeks, it feels like a lot of showdown slates are just, at least for me, like when I'm running the sims or whatnot, they are 5-1 oriented. So it is clear that the simulations do like 5-1s. And I mean, how can you not hear, right? It's like, what's the spread? Minus 15.5 for Buffalo, over 2 touchdown favorites. So obviously the projections are going to lean you towards 5-1. You said over 50% of your lineups in your 150 set were geared towards 5-1. So like in a way to just get automatically unique and different from the field, it would just be to X those out and just play 4-2s and 3-3s, right? Get balance. And if you plan to do that, you're going to have to play some Tyrod Taylor. There's like a lot of top lineups I'm looking at right now where let's say you have a 5-1 Buffalo stack and it has James Cook. It has James Cook in the util. Like if you have the extra salary, I think it's $200. You can easily just swap Cook to Tyrod, and then play like a New York Giants pass catcher. And then there you go. There's your 4-2, right? I think that type of lineup construction is going to be a lot different than a 5-1, I would say. I think you're going to see a lot of chops with the 5-1s. But yeah, I mean, I think that's how you attack the quarterback position. Obviously, Josh Allen, if you know how I play 5 to 10 lineups, I'm going to play him in all of them for sure. And then I'm going to mix in Tyrod here and there. I'm not going to get overweight on him, but obviously in like the 4-2 roster construction lineups, pairing him with a New York Giants pass catcher is definitely something I'm going to try to do. And then I'll probably have some 5-1s even with just Tyrod himself. Maybe he runs, maybe he runs the touchdown in himself. And then, that 9 to 10 points from a Giants guy in the 5-1 could be enough to, be that optimal Giants guy. So that's kind of how I'm going to handle it.
Yeah, 100%. And we are lucky enough to be joined by Mr. 332K himself, Mr. K Fallick, asking to hop on. I haven't been on a show with Kevin in a long, long time, so I'm very happy to be joined by him. But Kevin, how are you doing, man? How was your Sunday?
It was Texans won.
How about that? And Keaton Mitchell didn't play. So, I mean, we do have a lot to talk about here, Kevin, but obviously you must like the slate if you're willing to come on a Sunday, because it's a rare thing to see you on a Sunday show.
Yeah, my congratulations, by the way, to Glock on baby boy. I can give you some pointers if you would like. I have 2 boys, and I will only be having 2 boys, no more. So,
for sure, I'll slide in when I need to. Okay,
yeah. Sure. Wife had a operation this weekend, so I am home alone. The boys are out for fall break for the next few days, so I'm home alone and thought I'd hop on for a little bit. Especially when you lose Kurt, the star of the show. So
I know.
Oh, God,
I'm looking forward to seeing how he'd fade Dawson Knox today, or who's the other Darren Waller. He's a Darren Waller stan, though. That dude loves Darren Waller.
I think that it's going to be interesting to see, because I'm looking at projections right now for this slate, and I think they're wrong. So we'll see, though. I think that the interesting places are, what are you going to do with Saquon tonight, and then these cheap pieces.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. And I think summing up what you said about quarterbacks, Glock, is I have a ton of Josh Allen at captain, and I think Tyrod's my favorite Giant today in terms of like a higher price piece. I do think the 4-2 is more viable than when I first looked. I also think that just Josh Allen and Tyrod just are head and heels above the running back position today, because I think the Bills will not hesitate to use all 3 guys. I think the Saquon's going to be held back a little bit, but I'm curious to hear y'all's takes on that. And it's kind of a messy running back situation. So these quarterbacks provide a little bit of safety. And it's not like any of these wide receivers outside of Diggs and Davis are really, special or anything like that. So Allen's my favorite captain and the quarterback spot, and just captain in general today. Kevin, what are you doing with captain today? Are you getting cute with it at all? Are you just going Allen?
I'm going either Allen or Diggs, I anticipate.
Yeah, I like it. So point me to where you think the projections are wrong. I assume this might be at the running back position, a little bit at wide receiver, because one projection that I did think was wrong was Jalen Hyatt, and another one that I lowered was Saquon Barkley. What are you doing? Like, what projections are different, and are they at the running back position, Kevin?
Yeah, I dropped all of the running back position overall. I think that you could see, like, the split has been very clear in Buffalo. Obviously, James Cook is getting the most usage, but the split is still there. If the game gets out of hand, they're not going to give James Cook as much run. And then the question is, what about Saquon? Like, and I'm not even sure it matters. I'm seeing like 15 or so, and I'm not sure it matters because of his price tag. He's $11K, and it's going to be hard to fit him anyway. So, like, the question becomes, is could you even just play him, just like fit him in and force him in and be a little different that way? I'm not sure it's viable. Still trying to figure it out. But I think that those are definitely off. I think like Damian Harris even is still a little over projected. I want to get a little bit of him. I want to get a little bit of Latavius Murray, and then at the wide receiver position, as you said, bump Steph a little bit from like 21 to 23. I think Wandale is a little over projected, and I honestly think Deontay Hardy's overprojected, but still, he's still hitting a lot. That's the thing. Is like he's projected for like 6 or 7, and I'm putting him down at like 3.754, and he's still hitting a lot. I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on Jalen Hyatt and why you think he's he's misprojected because I didn't really see that. I don't trust many. The thing is, I don't trust many of the wide receivers for the Giants anyways. And in my 3 max, I will not have any. And then I think Darren Waller is misprojected. If he's going to get 10 to 11 targets, I'm not going to just mess around and put him at a lower number. He's your best chance of getting a touchdown for the Giants. So I think he's off. And the big one for me that's off, and you're going to laugh at me, and I'm disappointed that you didn't put him in the playbook, Quentin Morris.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. I mean, with Dalton Kincaid out, Quentin Morris, is he going to be in line for potential snaps?
Well, yeah, you have to think about the fact that, like, okay, he's been on the team for how many years now? So that's like, let's start there. They trusted him in past years, and they're going against a team where they didn't know they're not going to just change the 12 personnel that they've been playing. Like, why would they like change up? And the Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox were on the field a ton together. They're not going to overplay Dawson Knox if he was questionable all day. He's going to get his snaps. Quentin Morris is going to get his snaps. He's $200, and I think it's a mistake not to consider him. I'm seeing him at 1% owned, like a less than a 1 point projection. I bumped him above Deontay Hardy, and I'm letting the numbers. I'm letting the numbers do it. But the thing is, I put him 0.01 ahead of Deontay Hardy, and so I'm playing 150 on this slate for that reason, because I think the projections are off on these guys. So I'm going to get a lot of both of them. I may get a lot of both of them together. But I think that's the mistake. And then I think that he's the play of the day for it.
All right, I like that. I like that take, and I'll tell you a little bit more about Hyatt here in a minute, but I do want to kick it to Glock about these running backs here, because you mentioned that you bumped all the running backs down, and that is something that I kind of did, except I did one little thing, and I'm curious to see if you have the same take, Glock. In a potential blowout, I could see Harris or Murray kind of being that Jordan Mason who won the slate. 49ers slate, what was it, last week, right? I could see something like that happening similarly, and I don't want to project them or like under project them too much where they're not hitting. Glock, do you have any similar take? I know it's like a lot of single entry and 3 max stuff where, it's harder to hit the nuts, and you don't really want to play a suboptimal play in that regard. And that's very possible here with a 15.5 point spread, right?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, I think last Sunday as well, it was kind of similar where, we were expecting a blowout, and it kind of ended up that way where Jordan Mason kind of took over on the later drives and, got to where it needed to be. K-Falix kind of got me in a little tussle now with this Quentin Morris, because I do think, I'm not touching on the running backs right now, but a key point is those cheapies, because you see a lot of these 5-1, 4-2 builds end with like a Hardy or, a Shakir or Morris, as K-Falix mentioned. Like, it's going to really be important how you project these guys, because, based on the salary, if you do what K-Falix did and you do project Morris over one of these guys, they're going to pop in your lineup more than, the guy that you have below them. And just based on how I'm seeing the lineups are in the Opto, it does end with like an $800, $600 guy. And if you do project that $200 guy ahead of them, obviously you're going to get them more. So I do think that's a key. And yeah, just to break down the running backs, like, I do play 5 to 10 lineups, so it's hard for me to invest in a Saquon Barkley personally. So, I think in my 10 lineups, I'm not going to have any myself. Obviously that could burn me, but I just can't play anyone, right? It's the worst, like playing like 20% of each person for me, at least in a 10 lineup set. I try to take hard stands and hard fades, so I won't have any Saquon Barkley. And then, yeah, I think just in a 5-1, you're going to have to mix and match these Buffalo running backs. Obviously there's different 2v2s and stuff that you can consider. But I'll have a lot of James. I won't have a lot of James Cook, but I'll probably be even with the field in my 10 lineups, and try to match it with, the other Buffalo running backs as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the potential for James Cook is still there, right? Like, obviously they're huge favorites. He does a lot of work in between the 20s. Last game was very disappointing. I mean, what was it? -4 rushing yards, right? And it was 3 catches despite a trailing script for the majority of that game. However, it's the Giants. They've been carved up by running backs all season. Kenneth Walker got there with a goal line touchdown and stuff, but so they kind of limited the run last week in that regard. But I mean, there's just still like so much with the running back position at 9-2, and you have Diggs and Allen above him. You have the quarterback and Tyrod Taylor right next to him too. it definitely makes it tough to go James Cook on this slate. But yeah, I think a little bit of interest in this Harris or Murray if you're MMEing. I think in a 20 max, put them in a lineup or two, see where it takes you. And I think that's probably the best route. And I'm with you, Kevin, especially on these Giants running backs too. Just gross. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole today. I think I'll have some mandatory Saquon in the 150 set, but I think we move on to wide receiver too now. And the reason why I think Jalen Hyatt's underprojected is that his snaps have kept trending up each week. He got almost half the work last week, half the snaps, I should say. Obviously, those aren't translating to targets. However, I just think it's laughable to have him at 2, having him under guys like Paris Campbell, only played 22% of the snaps last week. The pop-off game for Jalen Hyatt is there, right? It's got to come at some point. I know they have to make sure Tyrod Taylor gets time, but Hyatt's got deep playability. I mean, JSU, these guys all love him in college. Tennessee, I'm at Tennessee, Kevin, living in that great state. I just think Hyatt's due for a burst, and I just think he's going to come in low owned. And I'll take opportunity over anything on this slate, especially with these Giants wide receivers. So I bumped him up just above guys like I made sure he's above Paris Campbell. I made sure he's slightly below Wandale, and basically just popping above these running backs as well in terms of Damian Harris too. So that's my strong take tonight. So I'll have a lot of Hyatt and just hoping he gets one catch for big play, or maybe they just work him in on the short route a lot. Can you see that? Did I sell it to you a little bit there, Kevin?
Yeah, no, I'm good with it. You're right on the trending of the numbers and everything like that. And I will say Tyrod Taylor is a guy that likes to chuck, so I have no issue with it at all. I'm trying to force in 30% Saquon tonight. I'm trying to force in 45% Tyrod Taylor, and then see where the projections take me from there for the most part. In that way, I think Graham Gano's underprojected as well. So I always love my kickers, and the kickers are underprojected. I think the Bills are hard to play at $6,600 to say the least. So I'm gonna stand on that one as well. But yeah, I definitely am okay with the Jalen Hyatt take for sure.
Love it. And Glock, I'm going to touch the wide receivers here. A very popular play will likely be Wandale Robinson tonight. His prop is 3.5. He's got 30 yards. I think it's the prop too. So I definitely think he might be one of the chalkier wide receiver options for the Giants on this slate. I mean, I think we can even throw in Darren Waller just because we can talk about the pass catchers here, Glock. And I don't know. I think one of these wide receivers I would play in a lot of lineups. I don't know about going 2. I mean, that would be getting a little bit bold, but I definitely think it's in the cards. And tell me a little bit about Diggs. How much captain are you getting as well? Tell us a little bit about Gabe Davis as well. Anything about the wide receivers and pass catchers in general.
Yeah, I think K. Fallick mentioned earlier, but I think my only 2 captains tonight are going to be Diggs and Allen. Maybe since K. Fallick's playing 150, it's a little different. But with my 10, it's just going to be those 2. I don't like to spread it out too thin. And yeah, I think when I'm playing Diggs, I really don't want to play Gabe Davis on the other side. So, I'm fading Saquon, and, it doesn't feel good, but personally, I'm going to be fading Gabe Davis. Obviously, Gabe Davis has that big play potential that, will kill you in 2 drives. He just catches 2 bombs and then you're dead. But I'm going to lean Stephon Diggs here for sure. And then, yeah, I think you're mentioning Waller and Wandale. I definitely think Wandale's going to be chalkier for sure. Just due to price, right? He's 4.6K while Darren Waller's 7.4K. So that does restrict your construction a little bit when you are trying to jam in Waller. But I do like Waller for sure. It's just what else? What is the 2v2 that you have to do, to get Waller over Wandale? That's definitely something that, it's going to be in the back of my mind. But yeah, I think those 2 for sure are my top Giants pass catchers. Obviously, Dawson Knox is in a nice spot. He's cheap, 3.8K, probably going to be one of the chalkiest values pieces just because of Kincaid's, inavailability. So I'm going to have a lot of Knox as well. And then this is where it gets tough, right? You have Slayton, Hardy, Trent Sherfield, even Jalen Hyatt you mentioned is fairly cheap. Khalil Shakir is cheap. Quentin Morris. I know we're not at tight ends yet, but where you project these guys is really going to be key tonight, because it's going to be the difference of that 1v1, right? Right now I have not Wandale. What's his name? Where is he at? Where is he? Hardy. Sorry, yeah, Hardy. I have Hardy ranked above Shakir, but if you just flip those projections and you have that $200 left over, it's gonna be Shakir in that spot, right? And then the same goes for Quentin Morris, who we'll touch in, in the next section. But I think it's gonna come down a lot for me, like who I prefer over the other. Right now, I think it's Hardy. But maybe K Fallick has a strong take. Like I know Kincaid was like lining up kind of in the slot or in line, right? Like who, obviously K Fallick, you think it's Morris that could, be a 1-to-1 replacement, but can't one of these receivers, like I think Shakir's more of an outside guy. Shakir's an outside guy, right? And then Hardy is more, he could play more on the inside, right?
You're probably right where it helps out Hardy more because Kincaid was supposed to be the slot wide or slot, hybrid, right? And Hardy won the role of slot during preseason, and Shakir had a terrible camp and everything, and Hardy just took the role right away.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of like my lean right now, kind of why, I lean the Hardy side. But yeah, I think people are saying Sherfield too. Who really?
Why not? I'm just going to say I'm going to use the GIF. Why not both?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's one of the key decision points tonight for sure. So yeah, I'll be debating that as you guys give takes, and then maybe we could circle back.
Yeah, I got to drag Trent Sherfield from the fades because I was expecting, Dalton Kincaid to be in. Actually, it hasn't been the case with concussions all season long. It seems like a guy always misses the next game with concussion. So I think Sherfield's definitely in the cards as well. Yeah, it's interesting tonight. I think Dawson Knox, especially with, Dalton Kincaid out, it just seems too cheap, right? He's still touchdown dependent, of course. I think you definitely need a touchdown from Dawson Knox just because that's the way his play is. But he's a popular red zone guy for Josh Allen here. And I think especially with Josh Allen at captain, Dawson Knox should definitely be heavily considered at 3.8K. I mean, his floor is arguably as good as any of these other guys. I also bet him at first touchdown at plus 1,200 as well with my DK boost. Kentucky is just full of super boost right now, so it's kind of fun. And Darren Waller, I mean, we did have Butthole Jenkins mentioned it. If I can find it here real quick. Yeah, Tyrod absolutely just went to Darren Waller. I think it was like 3 or 4 times in that drive, that 13-play drive that they had at the end of the game. That was intriguing. And I'm interested to hear what you got to do with Darren Waller here, Kevin, because we heard Glock's take on it. But obviously we have Darren Waller here. And we just got a surprise guest, too. It's not Kurt. No, it is the big man, the biggest Jalen Hyatt fan in the land. His name is JSU. JSU, how are you doing today? I think it's you first here. What are you doing with Jalen Hyatt today?
Well, I had to come on when I saw friggin' Glock and K Fallick on the show. I mean, it's not every day I get to do a show with Glock and K Fallick. So I guess, Rubio, you're wearing the wrong football jersey, Rubio. This is actual real American football, not football or whatever you guys call it. So wrong jersey. But, I wanted to talk some football with the guys. And man, I disagree with some of the guys here, and I got to start with Kevin. I don't mean to just go in on Kevin, but you like Quentin friggin' Morris on this slate? Quentin Morris? Why? Just because a tight end's out? You understand that tight end plays the role of like slot wide receiver half the time he's on the field, right?
But it not only has to do with that, it has to do with the fact that they also are – Dawson Knox is hurt, so they're going to play him some as well. In that position as well, in my opinion. I think that it's going to be again. I like Deontay Hardy. I like Dawson. I like Dawson.
I think it boosts I think it's all the 3 wide receivers that you guys you're talking up Hardy, but everyone knows Hardy. I think that's everyone's favorite. I think it's the other guys that it actually boosts. So like, look at it like this: Hardy has his package, his role. Package, whatever you want to call it, where they design up plays for him, down the field or, short stuff to get the ball in space, whatever. But like guys like Shakir, Sherfield, who they like, especially like for blocking and stuff like that, but they like him a little bit. Those guys are the ones that actually might get the uptick as far as what we're not projecting or seeing. Yeah, Quentin Morris, is he going to play more than what he normally plays? Yeah, because he doesn't really play that much. So, yeah, he's going to play a little bit more. But I think when it comes to actual route running, Quentin Morris will run some routes, but I think the guys that get the biggest boost have to be these other wide receivers that we're not talking about. And I mean, it's got to be Shakir after Hardy, because that's the guy we've been talking about. Like, that's the guy everyone thought at the beginning of the year was going to be the third guy. He ends up getting beaten out. He has a bad camp. Maybe he must have had a bad camp because everyone just assumed it, and it didn't happen. And so now I think this is a spot where they're going up against the Giants. It's a 15-point spread. Well, let's, Kincaid's out. All right, let's see what these guys got. Let's see what Shakir has. I think it's a perfect spot where, everyone's going to play Josh Allen, but the way that you can do it, and one, I'm taking out 5-1 builds. I just can't do it on this slate. Like 5-1 builds are going to be, I ran my first run and I was getting 75% 5-1 builds without touching anything in my first run. And I'm just like, yeah, can't do that. Like, I'm not playing. What is it? What do you think, Rubio? 40, 50% 5-1 on this slate?
What was it? The Chiefs slate when they were just huge favorites, not the Broncos one, but it was like 25 or 30% 5-1s. This one should definitely go north of that. I could see it being like 35.
I think it could be 40 by the time it's all said and done. Like literally. Sure. And when you say that out loud, it's just insane. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to play 5-1s, because I get why people want to play 5-1s and I get why the projections are pushing 5-1s. But man, every single person is going to play 5-1. So you are going to be immediately different just playing 4-2s and like good 4-2 lineups that like are reasonable. It's not like, lineups that you think are crazy. You know what I mean? These are reasonable lineups that just like, yeah, you don't trust Tyrod. Saquon's overpriced for probably the workload he gets, but who knows what he gets? I mean, really is the truth. So I don't know. I think that if you just nix 5-1 and start from there, that's a really good way to like start yourself on the path of being different. And I just refuse. If 5-1 wins, I'm going to lose. Like, I'm going to lose if 5-1 wins. If defense is in the captain, like the Bills defense is in the captain, I'm going to lose. Stuff like that. I underprojected the Bills defense a little bit. That doesn't mean I faded them, but I'm definitely under the field. I would assume they're like 35%, Rubio, somewhere in that range.
It's going to be like that. And that's actually a very good, segue into the next thing. Because Kevin, I know I talked to you about tight end stuff, but if you do want to touch on the tight ends, but I want to hear what you're doing with the defense tonight, because 6,600 is a tall tag. Defenses have been optimal in almost every slate, it seems, every single Showdown slate. It's frustrating, right? 6,600. Is it dumb to bite the bullet? Or, I mean, what are you doing with it, Kevin?
I'm not playing defense today. I'm going to lose if defense is winning, because 6,600 is just not a price that I'm going to pay for a team that I think is going to be 30+% owned. Tony's told me that I'm crazy for doing it when last week or whatever with the 49ers, or no, it was the Chiefs. It worked out for the Chiefs, I guess, in the end, but 6,600, and they're also injured. Like the Bills are not healthy. So there's that as well. Like, they're not a healthy defense right now. So you're playing a situation that you think that they're just going to go off against a team that Daboll's going to be methodical with what he's doing on the offensive end. You have Tyrod Taylor, who is probably one of the fastest quarterbacks and elusive quarterbacks in the league also. So like avoiding the sacks is something that you can expect as well. And you just hope that he doesn't make the mistakes of throwing interceptions is the big thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Glock. I'm actually curious to hear this too, because the Giants have given up 7 and 11 sacks. They're not always open. This offensive line is just a turnstile. But 6,600 tall tag. Kevin's fading. I'm leaning, going underweight. What are you doing, Glock?
Yeah, not going to full fade, but underweight for sure. I just think that 6.6K tag is quite ridiculous, and like just running my lineups, and if you look at the price range that they're in, it's like, they're jumbled in between Darren Waller at 7,400 and Isaiah Hodgins at 6,200, right? So it's just kind of a weird range where your build looks, generally when you have these 5-1 slates, everyone just plugs in the defense, right, as one of the 5 pieces generally. But that's when the defense is like 3K ranging to like 4K something. This is just 6.6K. It's going to take a lot, right? I think they're going to have to get, a touchdown most likely to be optimal. So generally, I am a big proponent. Go ahead.
I'm gonna the chat's on me right now, so I have to say a few things. Number one is let's look at who's on the IR for the Bills right now. So you got Daquan Jones, Matt Milano, Bailey Spector, and Tre'Davious White. All four of them are on the IR right now for this team. All very talented players on the defensive end. I, again, am going to say that Tyrod Taylor may not be as talented as Daniel Jones, but the playbook is going to change with the fact that they're going to give him the short pass opportunities and stuff like that and put him in positions that he is going to hopefully be more successful in these spots, is my opinion. And they're 6,600. I'm going to say, and they are 6,600.
Yeah, fair enough. JSU, you gave your piece. Glock, anything else you wanted to add? Or, even talk about the kickers, Glock. I'll kick it to you here. Obviously, Bass, Gano, both great here. I mean, Gano, he's a Showdown legend here at RPS. Are you mixing in the kickers at all?
Yeah, definitely. And what's one interesting thing, like Gano, I think K-Falak mentioned it when he hopped on, like he does feel underprojected. And because of that, his projected ownership seems low for a kicker too, like 15% for Graham Gano, who like can absolutely just bomb it down the field. I like Graham Gano. I'm obviously not Xing out 5-1s like JSU. I like him as the lone New York Giant piece for sure, like in these 5-1 builds. And, obviously in a 5-1, you're going to favor, the favored team's kicker as well. So I'm going to have a little bit of both for sure. I like the kickers here personally.
JSU, give me your top. What are you doing with the captain position? We haven't gotten your captain take. Is it just Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs for you too? Because that seems to be the theme. Kevin and Glock kind of similar.
Yeah. So I have Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, 1, 2. And actually, I have a little bit more Stephon Diggs than Josh Allen, interesting enough, in my 150. And my top team, though, is Josh Allen. Like, my main team is Josh Allen. But in my 150, I do have more Stephon Diggs. And then Gabe Davis, I have a little bit of Dawson Knox. And then, like tiny bit of Deontay Hardy, like 2% Deontay Hardy, just because, I could see, like, the deep bomb play and somehow – the Giants guys that are optimal are the expensive guys. Even if they don't do that much, they're still like the expensive guys. It's one of those scripts where Josh Allen obviously isn't the captain, so there's not a ton of points scored, but like just on raw points alone, the studs all get there with Hardy at captain. So yeah, those are the 5 captains I got. I think you could play like Tyler Bass is a really good kicker. I think you could play him too. Those would be like the 6 I would consider. So all Buffalo captains. I wouldn't play. I'm lower on guys like Graham Gano. I think when you're 15.5 point dog going into Buffalo, where your old coach used to coach and is very familiar, you are just going to play. And when you're terrible, right? You're an awful team. Things are not going well this year. You're just going to be more aggressive. And I called this, what was the game? God, what was the Chiefs game, right? The Denver game, where I said Denver's kicker is not a good play. You know what I mean? It's not a good play. They're going to like be more aggressive. They're not going to get there as much. And when they do get in the red zone or areas, they're going to be more aggressive. And he didn't have a good game. I could see something similar here. So I'm way lower on the Giants kicker. I think he's someone I got like very little of. I'm lower on the defense, like I said. And no 5-1s. I mean, Jalen Hyatt. For people who are asking my highest owned Giants, remember I cut 5-1 builds, so all my builds are 4-2 or 3-3. So I've got actually a good amount. Like my flex position, my highest owned guys are like Tyrod. I'm way over on Saquon. Jalen Hyatt, I'm way over on. Wandell, I'm way over on. Those are like the 5 guys in my 150 or 4 or 5 guys, whatever it was, from the Giants that I'm like super heavy on. And then everyone else I'm like at the field they're under on. So those are the guys I'm taking like the biggest stands on. And I'll say it again, but Tyrod is actually my highest owned guy in the flex. Saquon, Wandell, and Jalen Hyatt.
All right, I like it. I like it. If you guys have any questions, yeah, feel free to put them into the chat. We have about 12 minutes till the lock. We have a great time. I think we went over all the positions for the most part here. 5-1's being X'd out there, JSU. That's definitely a strategy tonight that could definitely pay dividends. I got 51% right now. I might limit that.
Matt thinks we all blow. Matt, you can go blow yourself in your room by yourself, buddy. You're out of here.
The Giants fans are the most sensitive people, bro. Giants fans are really, really sensitive people. When you start talking about the New York Giants, man, you gotta kind of poke around very soft.
You gotta be like Beanair. Beanair, where's Beanair in chat? Beanair's got to get in chat and show Giants fans how to act. Like, just tell everyone you're going to the Super Bowl or whatever. Just do that.
Just be super delusional.
Yeah. By the way, who's the backup for the Giants? What's his name? Because Tony told me he's literally the worst quarterback in the world. Is it DeVito?
It's got to be Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, Tony told me this morning. He's like that. He is absolutely the worst quarterback in the world. He's like, I can't believe that guy's in the NFL. And I'm like, I've never seen this guy play, but if you're telling me he's the absolute worst quarterback, well, I better pray that Tyrod stays upright in this game. Please don't get hurt, Tyrod, because 5-1 will definitely win if this guy's that bad.
Yeah, that could definitely be the case. I do want to make a mention real quick if you're building, especially in SaberSim, our partner. I am doing 2 uniques. We have so much value tonight that you definitely want to disperse it at the bottom because I could see any one of Sherfield, Hardy, Shakir, Morris, and whoever, Hyatt in there as well. I definitely want to spread the ownership around there. Don't want to concentrate on just one guy. Let's see here.
I'm on the show. You're in the chat, but thank you for that. That's a good point. But
wow, flash that NYG fan comment because he's super sharp. Actually.
God, yeah, he's one of the best. Nah. Yeah. Kevin Bellinger for 200. I'm gonna assume that you're out on that, right?
I actually in my 150. I won't lie. I have like 5 teams on FanDuel with Mr. DeVito in it. I think.
Oh my!
Just because he's 5K, and you know what happens if anything ever happens to Tyrod, like he's 5K on FanDuel, so it's not a lot. It's literally 5 teams. Like
I appreciate that actually.
Yeah, I pulled the big T. I pulled the big T here, so that's the big T move, and I pulled it.
I might have to join the train with you on there, JSU.
It's literally no one's gonna do it. He's gonna be unowned, and again, I don't wish Tyron. Clearly, I just told you he's my highest owned player on DK. So it's not like I root for injuries in here, but there's a world where Tyrod comes in and this Bills defense just kills him in the first half. So, yeah.
My favorite point of the show
did talk to me about this in my DMs like 2 days ago. He was literally thinking about his Giants getting killed like 2 days ago. He's like, I'm probably the only one thinking about how Tommy DeVito is going to get in this game on Sunday night. And I'm like, dude, it's Saturday. You're definitely the only one thinking about it.
I mean, he's got to be plugged in. Like, he's got to be plugged in with it.
Oh, he definitely is. He's sharp, too. So
for sure.
When he talks, I listen.
My favorite part was realizing that Matt Milano got injured last game because that Bills defense completely changed against the Jaguars. They got torched by the Jaguars.
Shocking.
Yeah,
I'm trying to say this, and nobody wants to.
Milano is their best best defensive player.
Well, Tre'Davious White is, and then Matt Milano.
No, he's their best defensive back. I think Matt Milano is like their leader by far.
Ed Oliver becomes a lot less valuable when you're missing a guy like Matt Milano, and you're missing a guy like you can say all you want. Daquan Jones is garbage when you have Ed Oliver next to Daquan Jones, it makes Daquan Jones look pretty horrible. When you don't have Daquan Jones in there, it makes Ed Oliver look a little bit worse too.
So John Mendez points out the Shepherd in play. I think it's Dabble mentioned that more playing time for him last week versus the Dolphins. Does that interest any of you at 200? I think it was AP who ended up coring Sterling Shepard. You guys interested in that at all? Glock, I'll kick it to you first.
Man, he's tough to get to in my 10 lineup, so I personally won't have any myself, but I understand it, right? He did play 28% of snaps last week, a jump from 4% 2 weeks ago, and then 7% the week previous. So it did increase, but man, I just have to take stands. It does feel like roulette, but yeah, go ahead.
Can I just say though, from watching that game, and again, I watched that whole game. Now I can't remember the exact score from the half and then after that, but I'm pretty sure, like, what was the score? I can't remember because he played more in the second half. I know for a fact. Like, there's no way his 30% came, like, throughout the game. It came mostly in the second half. So, I don't know. Does he get 30% again? Maybe. He sucks though.
Hey, can terrible. I don't have control to block people, but I feel very uneasy. I feel very uneasy with the someone telling me to suck my cock. So can we please ban this Andrew Peterson guy?
I think you should go on timeout. I agree with you, Kate.
Big T's comment is pretty good too.
Where's Big T's comment?
Oh,
yeah,
God.
I mean that's not suck my cock though. I mean
very true.
That's not that.
I do want to point this out real quick, Alexander. The lowest I'm in salary, I actually made it pretty low today, but I do have exclusively Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and Gabe Davis at captain. So I'm not leaving a ton of salary, but I definitely don't mind going a guy like Jalen Hyatt or
what's the most you left, Rubio? What's the most you left?
Let's
main
check.
salary.
Let's see.
Mine was 2,500, I think, in my 150.
Is there an easy way to check that on Saber? That's like one thing I don't know how to do. Like in a 150 set,
I don't know
what
if there's
is my
an
lineup?
easy way to for sure check it.
You just got to scroll through and kind of.
I just look through my teams. You know what I mean? So
Gotcha.
I like go to the bottom and I'll like kind of like start scrolling just to see that type of stuff.
So you make the lineups compact lineup mode. Is it the Riley Golf Pro comment?
Yes.
All right. Sick.
I love how we're showing that right now.
you sort the lineup into compact lineup mode and you scroll through. 47.3 is actually my lowest today. You guys want to know what that lineup is? Let's see.
Does it look tasty?
Read it out?
Yeah, I can read out 4 spots. No. Let's see. 47. Oh, okay. I can only find a 47.4 now all of a sudden, but it is Josh Allen captain with 2 Giants wide receivers, Tyrod Taylor, and then James Cook and someone else.
Yeah, you should definitely put AirPods in. Nice, Kevin. I'll just throw that out there. So, especially when Kevin's on a show. Kevin has a absolutely foul mouth. Just terrible.
I have a 46.9, if you're wondering.
Who's the captain? Well, I guess it's
Diggs. It's going to be Diggs or Josh Allen pretty much on every single lineup. So,
do you have any Bass captain, Fallick?
I ended up with a few, yeah.
I ended up with like 2% Bass too.
You guys are not captaining Tyler Bass. Stop it.
I do. I have like a couple percent, yeah.
When you force Rubio, when you force Saquon into 30% of your lineups, Tyrod Taylor into 45%.
Rubio doesn't. When you fade 5-1 builds and you play a ton of Tyrod Taylor and Saquon Barkley, Rubio, you're gonna have this.
And then you overproject Darren Waller. Like I'm playing a lot more Giants than I probably should be, but it's gonna make me different.
Yeah. Kevin, tell Rubio to suck your cock.
Ooh, I found a 46.5, and it's got Deontay Hardy as captain.
Oh, wow. Jesus Christ. It's so bad right there. You can't leave salary with a cheap captain. That's one thing I won't do. I'll go Hyatt over a kicker or some shit like that, but I'm not.
I like winners.
It's gonna be choice. Who's he talking to? You guys?
He's definitely talking to me because
he's definitely talking to me as well. It's fine.
He fucking locked 5-1 builds. I mean, what? I mean, yeah. I
didn't force out 5-1. I'll say that much.
Let's see. One of you take over the chat here.
All right, who's winning, Astros or Rangers this series?
Rangers.
God, the Stros always win. I think the Rangers get it done, but the Stros always fucking find a way.
Football show.
Yes.
I mean, there is like 2 minutes left, and isn't that game started? Or
it just started.
Yeah, it started. Yeah.
That's fair. I'm with you, but that's fair. Oh, he's talking about whoever chords Sterling Shepard. Well, no one on the show chords Sterling Shepard, Big T. All right? Go talk to one of your partners about that.
God.
I'm too
close to my
Alec, you got your Stros?
Yeah, I don't have any money on it, but I think the Astros win. Yes.
Oh, what fun is that?
Subjectively,
I don't need money on it,
or just randomly.
I don't need money when my team plays in the ALCS for the 7th year in a row.
Ooh, 7 in a row, baby.
I love how Big T comes around to playing Sterling Shepard. He goes, I needed a 200 play. Fuck it. You don't want to play Quentin Morris with K. Fallick, Tony?
That'd be a nice little bet. Sterling Shepard versus Quentin Morris.
Oh, give me Quentin Morris all day.
Ooh.
I think I might take Quentin Morris too.
That's spicy. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in live show chat questions wise.
Yeah, well, game's about to lock now.
All right, let's get the fuck on out of here then. Let's
Whoa, nice Kevin. I'm sorry. Rubio Dimes does not have children yet. He does not understand the inappropriateness of words that he uses.
All right.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Nice, Kevin. I apologize sincerely.
Don't apologize.
Let's get on
for
out
swearing.
of here. Let's win. I hope that I get the split. What is it? 500K up top or whatever? 300K up top. If I don't win the 300K, if it's not Kevin, if it's not Glock, if it's not Johnny AirPods, then I hope it's y'all. Everyone have a great rest of your day and good luck on the slate tonight. And bye-bye.